Madam President, distinguished members of the Security Council, the unanimous adoption of Security Council Resolution 2719 marked a major milestone in the partnership between the African Union and the United Nations. It built on the enduring relationship between the two organizations, taking into account their respective strengths and comparative advantages. With this resolution, the Security Council responded to long-standing calls, including by the Secretary General, to support African Union-led peace support operations, including peace enforcement and counter-terrorism operations, with mandates from the Council and through United Nations assessed contributions on a case-by-case basis. Since the adoption of Security Council Resolution 2719, the United Nations Secretariat has intensified its collaboration with the African Union Commission. And as a result, significant progress has already been achieved towards the operationalization of the resolution. We worked to develop a common understanding of this resolution and its implications for both the African Union and the United Nations. The focus of our collective work was on achieving greater institutional and operational readiness to ensure its effective implementation. In this regard, we established a joint African Union-United Nations task force comprising representatives from all relevant entities within both the Secretariat and the Commission to shepherd the process. Meetings were held at senior and technical levels. The Joint African Union-United Nations Task Force met at the technical level twice, first in Addis Ababa from 23rd to 24th May 2024, and then in New York from 29th to 31st July 2024. The Joint Task Force has also held a series of virtual consultations. During these consultations, the Joint African Union-United Nations team discussed 4 key areas. First, joint planning, decision-making, and reporting. A shared understanding has emerged within the Secretariat and the Commission of the need for close working relations between the African Union Peace and Security Council and the United Nations Security Council. Such collaboration is crucial to ensure smooth joint planning and rapid deployment of AU-led peace operations under Resolution 2719. We are also developing joint planning processes, building on our shared experience and taking into account existing collaboration platforms between our two organizations. In this regard, we look forward to the outcome of the joint consultation between the two councils later this month, when Resolution 2719 will be discussed. Second, mission support. There was a recognition that the operational sustainment of African Union-led peace operations requires enhanced collaboration in operational support. It also requires a review of operational frameworks and modalities to ensure these are fit for purpose to meet the demands of rapid deployment. Thirdly, financing and budgeting. Financial considerations and arrangements need to feature prominently throughout the planning and implementation phases from startup to mission closure, and to be compliant and consistent with Resolution 2719. The fourth area, human rights compliance, conduct and discipline and protection of civilians. Compliance with international human rights and humanitarian law and applicable standards of conduct and discipline, as well as prioritization of protection of civilians, are requirements laid out by the Security Council for any African Union-led operations accessing United Nations assessed contributions. The implementation of Resolution 2719 will no doubt present complex challenges in this regard, specifically when it comes to peace enforcement missions due to the inherent risks. The Joint Task Force agreed on a draft African Union United Nations roadmap on the operationalization of Security Council Resolution 2719. This draft roadmap builds on decades of shared lessons learned, operational experience, and collaboration between the two organizations. We recognize that strengthening institutional and operational readiness of the Secretariat and the Commission will be an ongoing process. Therefore, the roadmap will serve as a framework for continuously strengthening overall performance and impact. The Secretary-General and the African Union Commission Chairperson are expected to endorse the draft roadmap at their annual conference in Addis Ababa later this month. Madam President, distinguished members of the Security Council, the African Union and the United Nations have adopted a flexible and forward-leaning approach to institutional and operational readiness for the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2719. In that regard, the full implementation of the Joint African Union United Nations Roadmap, once officially endorsed by the Secretary-General and the African Union Commission Chairperson, does not constitute a prerequisite for implementing Security Council Resolution 2719 in a specific context. Accordingly, should the African Union Peace and Security Council decide to mandate an African Union-led peace support operation, and the Security Council decide to authorize it under the 2719 framework, the African Union Commission and the United Nations Secretariat will be ready to launch and support this peace operation. A possible first test case for the implementation of 2719 framework is currently being discussed. Indeed, based on Security Council Resolution 2748, the African Union Commission and the UN Secretariat, in consultation with the federal government of Somalia and relevant international and regional stakeholders and partners, are jointly planning for the successor mission to the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, ALSOM. As requested by the Council, we are preparing a report that articulates clearly a range of options for financing it, including, but not limited to, the framework established by Resolution 2719, other suitable alternatives, or some combination of these options. We will also provide an update to the Council on the status of implementation of Security Council Resolution 2748 on the 10th of October. More broadly, a report on the overall implementation of Security Council Resolution 2719 will be submitted by the end of the year. The report will provide further details on this new and critical aspect of the partnership between the African Union and the United Nations. Madam President, distinguished members of the Council, the support of this Council, as well as of member states of the African Union and of the United Nations, will remain essential for the successful deployment of an African Union-led peace support operation under the Resolution 2719 framework. Together, the African Union Commission and the United Nations Secretariat stand ready to translate Security Council Resolution 2719 into tangible actions that would contribute to lasting peace and stability on the African continent and beyond. I thank you for your attention.